Test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Good morning, everybody. Hello. How are we doing? Does that sound good? Good morning. Check, check. 1, 2. Sounds good? Potentially. Sounds good? Okay, perfect. Fantastic.
Good morning. My name is Nicholas Weber, and I am principal of the day at St. Henry School. Our speaker this morning is from an organization called Better Tech Project. He is here to speak to students from all over the diocese in Nashville about technology use. Although he's talking directly with us in the fellowship hall here at St. Henry, there are a number of schools watching this through live stream. Welcome to all the students who are on the live stream. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Isaac Taher. Isaac is newly married, loves music, movies, and games. We are grateful to Isaac for being here today. Please give Isaac your full attention and join me in welcoming him to St. Henry School.
Okay, boys and girls, we know today is Mardi Gras Day. It's the day before Ash Wednesday. And so what we'd like to do is to start our presentation this morning with a small prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. I'd ask you to join me. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. Again, my name is Isaac. I'm with the Better Tech Project, and I'm really here to remind you of a few simple things. Number one, something that's really, really, really important is just remember that you matter, right? It's up there on the screen. It's on my little water bottle back here, right? But that's something that's really important to us, and why we do all of this is to remind you that you matter. And because you matter, because you are so amazing and unique and gifted and created and loved and cherished and wonderful and super duper important, we got to make sure you're safe, right? And I'm sure you're like, oh, everyone wants to make sure I'm safe. My mom, my dad, the school, the church, right? Everyone is trying to make sure I'm safe. I can't do what I want, right? And I know that sometimes it feels like that, but I want to remind you, it's because we love you. It's because you're so important that we spend so much time and energy trying to figure out how can we make sure that you're okay, and if something happens that you know what to do, right? And so today we'll talk a little bit more about technology and screens and what that looks like, how to stay safe while you're online. And I don't want this to be, if you've had one of those kind of tech talks before that's a little cringy, or they're kind of making it feel like you're terrible, how dare you, you have to stop doing everything you're doing. I don't want today to feel like that. I want today to just kind of feel like a open, honest, we're just going to talk about screens. We're going to talk a little bit about our brains. We'll talk about maybe people that are trying to talk to us online. What should we do? What shouldn't we do? How do we stay safe? And we'll land in a spot where we know without a doubt if something weird happens online that freaks us out, that's scary, that's inappropriate, something we don't understand, we know exactly what to do, and we know how to be okay and be safe. Okay? Sounds good. And so there's going to be times during this presentation where I'm going to be really interactive with you all. I'll be asking you some questions. I'll get some responses from you. We're going to do some motion, some calling, back and forth. And then I'm going to be really mean, and I'm going to ask you to get quiet again. Can I get a thumbs up to say, yep, I can listen, but I can also engage and get quiet when I need to? Awesome, you guys. Fantastic. So again, my name is Isaac with the You Matter Better Tech Project. Mr. Isaac, however you'd like to call me. Whenever you see this little swirly tech is a blast, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say tech is a blast. I want you all to respond by saying just be careful. Okay, so we can try that out. Here we go. Tech is a blast. All right, nice. Awesome, everybody, nice. We are engaged this morning, loud. This is me and my family. This is my wife, Victoria, and our child, Hopscotch. This is my cat. We don't have a kid yet here, but we have a furry one, right? So there's Hopscotch. I think I still have some marks on my hands from when I tried to put that sweater on her for Christmas. So she did not like that at all, and as a result, she kind of took over the bathroom. So she's a crazy kitty. She's awesome. My wife is amazing. She's wonderful as well. Today actually marks the 4 years since we started dating. We've been married a little bit less than a year. Got married last July. So really excited about her, and she's wonderful. And just a little bit more about me there. Yeah. I live in Florida right now with her, but I grew up in Michigan. And so grew up in kind of the colder place. I'm living in the warmer place now, and I'm happy to be here in Nashville where it's not too hot, not too cold. I know today might be a little bit cold, but you have the sun. You have the sun outside, so that's awesome, right? And you're welcome. I brought it from Florida. You're welcome. But we know that technology can be fun, and maybe you like looking at pictures of puppies or dancing unicorns, right? Or maybe you like watching old YouTube videos.
Want to see how animals eat their food? Watch closely. Moo!
Oh, man. I mean, isn't that crazy? I can attest, coming from Florida, that is exactly how alligators and lizards and flamingos eat, okay? I've seen it. I can attest. That's totally true. 100%, right? There's so many fun things we like to do, right? And in the internet, that can be something that's so fun. I mean, the creativity there. All they had were some paper plates, some lettuce, some utensils, a little sippy cup. They had 2 cardboard boxes, a sheet, and then just, I guess, a pink onesie, I suppose, too, right? But it's so creative, and it's just such good, clean humor that's out there. And so just remember that technology isn't all bad. There are some really wonderful and amazing things that we can do on there. We can make each other laugh. I'm sure they had a great time making that together, and we're still watching it, and that was like 10 years ago, right? So many cool things. So I want to know from you all, what's something fun you like to do? I'll kind of walk around, and I'll just get to choose on you real quick here. Yeah. What's something fun you like to do right there? Yeah. Just in general, anything. Like to play sports. Okay. How about you? I like to run around and jump. Awesome. Yes. Sounds fun. Like to play soccer. Yeah. What about you? Swimming. Okay. Awesome. Let me go check around. Where am I going to go next? Who knows? Let's go to this side over here. How about you? They could go ice skating, right? That's what you said? That's awesome. Nice. I'm terrible at ice skating. I grew up in Michigan. Everyone thinks I should be able to do all the snow sports. I'm really bad. You got to teach me, okay? Mostly every sport. Nice. Okay, Mr. Man, sports of everything, right? How about you right here? Like to play football. Nice. All right, we'll go right here, my man in the back. Like to play soccer. Okay. All right, you can put your hands down. I know. There's so many fun things we like to do. I could do it all day where I just talk to you. What do you like to do? What do you like to do? Now, in all those things that are fun that we like to do, there's certain ways we have to stay safe even with those, right? Whether that's playing a sport or simply running around and jumping, right? Hopefully, there's ways where you have to be safe still. And a lot of sports and different sort of organized forms of play, right? They have sort of different rules and guidelines and structures and safety equipment, not to make the game less fun, but to make sure you're going to be safe, make sure there's sort of an order to it, right? And the same sort of thing is true for when we're online. There actually are sort of a set kind of things I'll teach you today of how to stay safe. Again, not to make sure that you're not having fun, like, oh, I can't use my technology the way I want to anymore, but more so just a reminder of, hey, we know that technology is fun, but it can also be dangerous, right? I mean, same thing with playing sports. Imagine if you played football without any of the gear on, and it was just people running into each other. Ouch, that game would probably not last very long, right? There'd be one, bam, everyone hits each other and everyone's down on the ground. It'd be bad. We don't do that. It'd be bad. Because even fun things can hurt us. And that's why we have all the safety stuff in place to make sure that we can enjoy the fun without getting hurt. And that's what I hope to do today with you all is teach you how to enjoy technology without getting hurt and think about how we can use it in better ways. Right? Because even fun things can hurt us. I mean, this guy, for those of you that said you play soccer, this guy's smashing his face right there. But now, imagine if that padding wasn't there. Woo, that would hurt a lot more, right? And so again, we have that padding. And so there's stuff that we're going to learn today. You're going to figure out how can I sort of cushion, how can I sort of protect myself from some of the things I might experience online. And we'll talk about that. The Bible puts it this way, a thief comes only to steal and slaughter and destroy. I, Father, Son, Holy Spirit came so that they may have life and have it more abundantly. John 10:10. God has an awesome plan and purpose for your life. And nothing you can do can really get in the way of that, right? We can kind of make that a bumpy path, right? But God has a really awesome, amazing, unique plan and purpose for you. And I would hope that the things we do online help make that path and put us in the right path and doesn't kind of cause those bumps. But it's really easy when we're online where stuff finds us. And sometimes bad content or videos or things, it finds us and it makes us feel like we're bad and we're ruining what God has for us. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but I want to remind you that anything you might see online, man, if it's bad or uncomfortable or weird, it's not always your fault. And we'll talk about what to do when you see that stuff. Because God wants you to live life abundantly, right? He has a big, big, awesome plan for you. Because tech is a blast. Awesome, you guys. Awesome. Yes, wonderful. So we're going to talk a little bit about screens. And maybe your brain really likes TikTok or Minecraft or Roblox, right? I have to fly through those or you guys start screaming, yeah, right? Now, I think some of those games and the way our brains work, sometimes we end up being a little bit more like slugs instead of bugs. What I mean by that is that sometimes we're just slugging and we're just right in front of the screen. Our eyes are burning out of our head and we blink and we're like, oh, I haven't blinked in so long, that hurt. Like my eyeball is like, what is this? I've just been used to staring. My eyes red and that, right? Like all these different things. We end up looking like the slug. Now he kind of looks like he's having a good time, but really, man, if you're just watching a show or you're playing a game nonstop all day, every day, eventually you don't want to do anything else. And you just are kind of stuck like a slug. And eventually, I think you kind of start to feel sad and you start to kind of maybe not enjoy the things you used to enjoy. And I don't think that's how God has designed us. Now, again, I'm not saying all those things are bad. I'm not saying everything you do on a device is bad. What I am saying is maybe there's a better way that we can use our technology. Maybe we shouldn't be playing Minecraft for 5 hours straight at night. You know, maybe we shouldn't be on Roblox for 8 hours every Saturday, you know? Just kind of checking in a little bit. Now, here and there in moderation with your family and all the other stuff we'll talk about today, some of those places can be fine. Some of them maybe aren't still for us, right? But I think God has made us a little bit more like a bug. And what I mean by that is that we're supposed to be engaged and interactive and moving and with our community here, right? Not just by ourselves. One thing that technology does really well is it separates us from other people and other things. And it's kind of like, well, I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm just going to kind of be me. I'm going to play my game in my corner of the room with my device and not really talk to anyone. And sometimes it can be really lonely. I don't think God wants us to be that way. And this is even how the Bible puts this, right? I'll get to it because a lot of the things that we might do on our devices, we're slugging, they make a lot of money off of us. Did you know that YouTube made $11 billion off of the ads that it promoted for kids' videos for kids? Did you get any of that $11 billion? No, right? So that's even part of we're hoping to try to change to say, hey, why are you making money off of kids? This is so not even correct, right? There's all this kind of corporations, they don't really care about you. They just want your time and attention, right? And they're really good at getting our time and attention because we like YouTube, we like Roblox, we like all these different things. And sometimes we go, wait a minute, that might not be good for me. They might actually not really care about me. They just kind of want the time and attention and money they get from it, right? And the Bible, again, talking about the ant and the bug and the slug, kind of puts it this way. It says, go to the ant, O sluggard, or lazy person. Study her ways and learn wisdom, from Proverbs 6:6. If you look at an ant, they're very rarely alone, right? You'll see them kind of walking around. Maybe they're scouting something out, and they go back to their colony, their community, their group of people, right? And so we all know the fun fact that an ant can lift like 10 times more than its weight. That's pretty awesome, right? But one ant by itself, yeah, that's cool. You can't really do a whole lot, though. Pretty awesome, has a lot of cool stuff. You get 2 ants, okay, maybe there's something there. 3, 4, 500, okay, now we can do some really amazing things. I mean, I've seen even those videos where ants create like a bridge of their body where they're all linked together, and so that all the other ants can cross, and they can, as a whole colony, even move through really cool, interesting situations. They make all those amazing tunnels and structures, right? If you've studied that in science or anything else, have the little ant farms, you just shake it up and make them all mad, and they have to do it all right. Ants are really, really cool creatures, and I think God remembers and knows that because he made them, and he says, hey, look at the ant. Do you see the ant going in a corner playing Fortnite by itself? No, that's not what ants do. The ants are there together, they're working, they're communicating. And maybe at night all the ants get together and they watch Netflix, who knows, right? But I think they're not doing that all the time, right? They have other important things. And I think there's other important things for you and I to do too that's not always watching screens. How many of us would rather be doing this right now, right? Not okay. Maybe this is covered in snow and you're ice skating or you're doing something else. Maybe it's a safe place where you can run and jump. You can play soccer. There's a big open field. Maybe it's a small, tiny cabin in the woods and you got a cozy little book with you and you got nice marshmallows and hot cocoa. Whatever it is. I think there's something outdoorsy, something that's not a screen-related thing that we'd probably rather be doing. And I think that's awesome because I think that's how God has created us. Did you know it's better for your brain to be bored? I know that's like a terrible word. To be bored, walking down a dirt path and to kick a stone, that action is better than 1 hour of just slugging, staring at a screen, right? Our brains, God has designed us to just be out and about and to be doing things physically, right? Who knows who this guy is? Who is he? Just tell me. Albert Einstein, yes. I would argue that if Albert Einstein had Fortnite, you would not know who he is because he would have never had his amazing genius ideas because he never would have sat to just think. One of the awesome things about Einstein is he was just bored a lot. And so it forced his brain to just think. And so he liked boats. He liked to go out in the water. And so he would take his boat out in the water. And it was during one of those times where he was just dude out in the water, bored, got nothing to do. He doesn't have Fortnite, doesn't have his phone, doesn't have Netflix, doesn't have YouTube. So he's just out on his boat and he's just looking at the sunset and the curvature of the earth and kind of the horizon and the way the waters and the waves, and his brain began to think about how and why, and he came up with his famous equation of E=mc², and how we still use that today to understand a lot about our earth and science and mathematics and all of his other sort of theories and creative brain. I mean, he's a genius. But I think what made him such a genius is because he was just bored. And I think there's some Albert Einsteins in this room right now that have genius ideas. But if all your time and attention is just focused on a screen and you kind of just turn that light off and you're just slugging, right? I don't know if you're ever going to realize that genius idea. So I would challenge you to be like Albert Einstein this week. Just be bored. I know, sounds so terrible. Be bored a little bit. Go outside, have nothing to do, and see what your brain figures out what to do, right? Because when you're bored, we don't like it because we're like, I don't know what to do, but that forces your brain to, forces us to think, right? Which we sometimes don't always do. So, okay, what can I do? Maybe I should write a creative story about something silly. Maybe I should look at the ant. Isaac was talking about ants the other day. The Bible was talking about ants. Look, he is lifting a really big leaf. That's kind of interesting. Oh, there's a spider. They're fighting, right? I don't know what's going on outside. It's so interesting. Our world has so many fun little unique details. Go outside and be bored sometime this week. Think of something interesting and different. Turn off the screen and just see if you can have that genius idea moment, because I bet you that there is an Albert Einstein in this room, and you just have to figure out what that genius idea is, right? Because tech is a blast. Just be careful. You guys are awesome. We're going to talk a little bit more about confusing pictures and videos. So friends, like I was mentioning YouTube a lot, and just nod your head if what I'm saying is true, okay? On YouTube, sometimes when you're watching a video, another video will just play automatically. Is that true? Sometimes you have autoplay enabled, yep. On YouTube, when you go to search and stuff, there's a lot of different results that pop up for what you search, right? Yep. Even when you're watching a video, if it's not full screen, you actually get a lot of recommended other videos that are under it or beneath it or under the side of it, right? There's a lot of other recommended videos, yeah. Sometimes on YouTube, we can stumble across and find bad pictures and videos. Is that true? Just nod your head. Yeah. Friends, I want to remind you that if you ever see anything inappropriate, scary, confusing, people without much clothes on, something that makes you scared, uncomfortable, something graphic, violent, something that just gives you that funny feeling in your stomach, and you just know, yeah, my parents probably wouldn't want me to see this. Yeah, I know this is kind of a bad video. I want to remind you that one, that is never your fault. It's never your fault. You didn't put it on there. It's not your fault. Two, there's something we can do about it, okay? There's something we can do about it. This is what we call put it down and tell someone. Now, we're not going to scream it like it shows in this picture here, but the idea of it is that if we ever see something on a device that fits that, what I was just talking about, where it's scary, it's a bad video, inappropriate, something confusing, something we don't understand, we just know Yeah, my parents wouldn't want, yeah, God probably doesn't want me to see this. What do I do? What we're going to do is we have some motions here. So I'm going to lead you in these motions. Everyone has to put your arms out like this. Bless you. Pretend you have a device in your hand, and we're going to clap our hands together and say, put it down like this. Okay, follow me. Put it down. Perfect. And from there, we're going to put our hands up to our mouth like this, and we're going to say, tell someone. Awesome. Okay, so let's try that together. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Put it down and tell someone. Awesome, you guys. Yes. And so that's what we want you to do, all right? It sounds really simple, kind of silly sometimes, doing the motions. But pretend, okay, something on the phone. Whoa, this is weird. Put it down. Who should you tell? Who should you tell? You just saw something weird, crazy, uncomfortable. You don't know how to express what you're feeling. You put it down. Who should you go tell? What do you think? Yes, your parents. Yes. You can put your hands down. You got it. Yes. Your parents, that loving, trusted adult that you know. If that's caregiver, guardian, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, older brother or sibling, whoever that loving, trusted adult in your home that takes care of you, that's the person that I want you to go tell this to. To say, hey, there was something really weird on the screen, and I don't understand it, and I feel like I'm bad now and for seeing it, and can you help me? And they're going to say, yes, of course. Thank you for telling me. Friends, I think sometimes we get stuck in this little lie that when you see something like this, when you see something uncomfortable, scary, awkward online, we get this feeling that I shouldn't tell anyone. And again, that's a little lie that creeps in. Mom and dad aren't going to understand. I'm going to get in trouble. They're going to be really mad at me. They're going to be disappointed in me. Friends, none of that is true. None of that is true. Actually, it's the opposite. When you go and tell your parents these things, or whoever, again, that loving, trusted person for you is, instead they might say, hey, I'm so sorry you saw that. Are you okay? Oh, honey, come here. Hey, it's all right. Has this happened before? They might just be interested and curious, and they might just say, hey, how many times are you okay? I'll take care of this, don't worry. And they might check in a little bit, right, just to make sure you're safe and okay, but it's actually going to be a really good conversation, right? And again, I'm not going to pretend like I know all of your parents or people that take care of you, but again, I would hope that there's at least one trusted adult in your life that you can go to and you can talk to about this stuff to say, hey, I just saw something weird, and I just need some help right now. You put it down, you tell someone, and then it's not your problem anymore, right? Then you can go on, then you don't have to deal with it, you don't have to fix it. Again, sometimes technology puts us in that spot where we feel like we have to figure it out, we have to solve it all. It's all about me, me, me. I'm all alone in this. Friends, please don't be alone in this. Break through that little lie that says, you're bad, you're not worth it, how dare you, you're the problem. That's a bunch of junk. You're awesome, you're amazing. There's some bad stuff everywhere, right? Even in real life, online, that just happens. That doesn't make you bad for seeing it, right? It's not true. That doesn't make you bad. So again, let's do those motions together, okay? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Put it down. Tell someone. Perfect, you guys. Now, say this situation happens here at school. What should you do? What do you think? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, bingo. Yes, tell your teacher. Yes, absolutely. Or whoever that other adult in the room is, tell them. And obviously, if it's on like a school computer, don't try to like put the TV down or like, the computer, whatever it is, but just stop it, pause it, whatever it is, just step away from it and go tell a teacher what's happened. You're not going to get in trouble, right? They're going to come around and just be like, whoa, sorry that happened. What happened? They'll just ask you to talk about it. And they'll probably talk to your parents too, just to make sure whoever takes care of you. It's not tattling. It's just to make sure that they all know they're on the same page there, right? And again, if this happens at a friend's house, can your friend help you in this moment? Not really, actually. Because if it's scary or confusing or alarming, makes us feel bad, it's probably going to feel the same way for our friend, and we're both going to be in that situation. And we might have seen this stuff together on accident or on purpose, whatever happened, right? And so if that ever occurs, even with a friend, put it down, you go tell their parents or their person that takes care of them, right? And then you can all sort of figure that out together. And again, you got to fight through that feeling of, I'm going to be in trouble, all these things. No, again, Doug was here last night from the Better Tech Project as well, and he was talking to a lot of parents just about how to have these conversations and figure this stuff out. And so you might be thinking like, my mom's got no idea. My dad has no idea about this stuff. They might have learned a lot last night and might be in a very different spot than they've been in before to talk about this stuff. They might have already had a weird conversation with you where they're like, what have you been listening to? What's going on, right? And so, again, always go to your parents with this kind of stuff, or whoever that loving, trusted adult that takes care of you, because they're going to be the one that can help you out the most. And then you don't have to figure out the rest of the problems there, right? You can just put it down, you tell them, they take care of it, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go outside and be bored now, right? And that can be really great for us. Awesome. The Bible puts it this way. It says, avert my eyes from what is worthless, and by your way, give me life, from Psalm 119:37. God knows there's going to be some worthless things in this life. He created everything, and he knows, yep, sin walked in, and there's some junk. And there's some things that you might have to do this to, right? You might have to look away. You might have to say, hey, that's a great prayer to remember. Avert my eyes, Lord, from what is worthless, right? Or keep my eyes on things that are pure and kind and just and admirable and excellent and praiseworthy, right? That verse, it's so, so good, and just to remember that. And so maybe that could be you right there, where you see something weird, you're like, whoa, don't want to see that. Put it down, tell someone, whew, now I'm good, right? Because tech is a blast. Just be careful. Awesome, you guys. Wonderful. So we're going to talk a little bit more about tricky people, privacy, and secrets. So how old is he, would you guess? Right? What do you think? Right here. Uh-huh. He's years old. I'm just kidding. Right? He looks like a 13? Yeah. What do you think? 12? How about you back there? Like a teenager. What about you? 14? 15? Yeah. 13? Okay, well, let's see. What do you think? Let's see if we can figure it out, okay? Here we go. Hey, how old are you? Friends, it's just a picture, which means we have no idea of knowing how old they are. Now, I can probably try to guess. Maybe they're a teen. Maybe they're somewhere between 12 and 15 or something, but I really don't know, because it's just a picture. And when we're talking with people online, or when we're playing different games and we're in digital spaces where other people are also there, like a game or an app, there might be other people we interact with, and we call them tricky people because we just don't know. For example, this is the profile picture of someone on Roblox or on TikTok or something, and they message us. Man, couldn't anyone actually use that picture for their profile picture? And can't anyone make their name anything? Yeah. So we don't know their name, really. We don't know who they are, if that's even them. And there's a lot of people online that pretend to be other people to try to just trick you. We don't always know why. Now, it very well could be that actual person, and that's genuinely who they are, but we don't know. And we can't ask them, hey, is that profile picture really you? Because then they're just going to lie to us and say, yeah, it's really me. They're tricky people, and we say they're tricky because they're really good at lying. They're really good at getting us to believe them. They might be really nice. You might be playing a game, and they say, hey, I saw what you were doing on this game. You were so good. That's amazing. I made this own separate game that's kind of like this, but it's way better. I'll invite you. Come and join me. That sounds kind of like a tempting offer. Like, this person just complimented me, said I was pretty cool, which I am, right? And then like kind of wants me to play this other game. That sounds pretty sweet. Let's do it. And then maybe you join, and it turns out that's really weird and freaky, and you have no idea what's going on. You get that funny feeling. You're like, wow, I got to stop this. And so because we never really know who people are online, it's better to just not even talk to them at all, right? So we're not going to talk to them, text them, or direct message them. In fact, if someone I don't know tries to talk to me online, what do I do? Well, friends, we actually already learned it, okay? So this is what we're going to do. If someone tries to talk to us online, we're going to do the motions. Here we go. Ready? Put it down. Tell someone. It's the same exact thing, right? Because sometimes we feel like, I can handle this. I'll just block them. I'll figure out what's going on. Again, they might be really tricky. They say, hey, no, I just talked. Your mom and our moms were talking together, and they said that I could play with you, and that's why I have your username and everything. How else would I get it, right? That's how I even got here. And I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like, wait a minute. I should probably check with my mom first. Wait a minute. I shouldn't ever even talk to someone I don't know online. I was at a different school a little bit ago, and a third grader came up to me afterward and said, Mr. Isaac, I got to tell you something. Okay, yeah, what's going on? We'll call him Timmy. And so Timmy was sharing with me that he was playing Roblox one night, and he was really upset. Family problems, I don't know what was going on. He was really not doing well, and he was so angry. And he started playing with people that he didn't know, and he started talking to people that he didn't know. And he just paired up with this one random person, and he just started saying the worst, meanest, cruelest, the worst words you would think a third grader would know. He's saying all of that stuff, angry. And then he goes to school the next day, and his best friend, we'll call him Johnny, Johnny comes up, and Johnny's just devastated. And Timmy's like, dude, bro, Johnny, what's going on? Like, you looked like, he's like, well, I was playing Roblox last night. And this person was just saying all the same things that Timmy said last night. And he realized it was him. He had accidentally found his friend on Roblox, didn't realize it was him. They didn't have each other added, and he ruined his friend's night and the next morning and even part of that week. And he's like, Isaac, I felt so bad. I didn't know it was him. Right? And friends, when we're talking through a screen, man, we don't always know how our words can affect others. Obviously, when we're saying mean things, we can assume, well, it's probably not going to be received well. But sometimes even what we think is a joke can really hurt someone else because we don't know how they're doing. We can't see them through the screen, right? And so I think it's really important that, man, if Timmy had never talked to people he didn't know, it would have eliminated that whole problem from the beginning, right? And so again, if you have an approved friend you can play with online with your parents, whatever, that's awesome. But for as long as people you don't know, we really shouldn't be interacting with them at all because they could be tricky. What if that person did the same thing to Timmy, right? What if he was having a good time and this random person came up to him and they started talking, then they started saying a bunch of random stuff to them, right? That could be really hurtful. And we don't always know if it's going to be our friend or not. Even if it's a random stranger, right? We should never really talk to them because we just don't know. If someone came up in the middle of school pickup, your church wouldn't allow this to happen, right? But if someone came up random and was a stranger and said, hey, you're so cool, you want to be my friend, hang out with me? Would you continue to talk to that person? No, of course not, right? You'd get in the car and the school would tackle him to the ground, right? No, they would never even let that person in the beginning, I know. But again, yet when we go online, sometimes it feels like, well, I can trust a stranger. And sometimes it's because their picture looks like us, but we have to remember that might not always be true. They might be someone else. This can be difficult. What if someone says, hey, can you keep a secret? I have something really cool, but you can't tell your parents. Okay, do you trust me? I'll tell you. Ooh, friends, if anyone ever asks you to keep a secret, specifically if they ask you to keep a secret from your parents, that is a big red flag, a big sign that they are a tricky person and they should not be trusted. Why wouldn't they want you to tell your parents? Everything I'm saying here today, I would hope you tell everyone you know because it's good to hear, right? Even the gospel, we call it good news because we want everyone to hear it. It's good for all people, right? That's not something that we say, whoa, don't tell anyone about the good news of the gospel. We got to keep it a secret, right? That's not, don't tell your parents about it, right? That's not what we say. That'd be so weird. And so the same thing is true when these people online, if they ever say, hey, don't tell your parents this, just keep this between you and me. Friends, that means they are a tricky person. And so even though it might be tempting and there's that thing inside of us that goes, yes, 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 I want to know the secret, right? Let me know. Sometimes we're just people that want to know everything. But if it's a secret online, it's never good. There's never a good digital secret, right? And so can I just get all you guys to promise me with a head nod and say it out loud, no digital secrets, okay? No digital secrets. Awesome, you guys. I mean, if you can figure that out right now, that will set your life up for so much success. Like I was saying earlier, God has an awesome plan and purpose for your life. A digital secret can sometimes make that plan a little harder to get through. And so if you can remember no digital secrets, I'm not going to talk to strangers online. And if I see anything weird, if I experience anything weird, I'm going to put it down and tell someone. Friends, you are going to set yourself up for so much success. There are a lot of adults that need to hear that message too. And so right now, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, if you can figure that out, that'll be so, so good for you in your life. And so let's do that again, okay? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Put it down. Tell someone. Awesome, you guys. Awesome. And remember, if something feels weird, then it probably is. And I want to remind you, especially with people online, it's never rude to not respond online. I know oftentimes growing up in Christian circles and in other places we're probably been told, hey, respect the adults, respect people, look them in the eye, shake their hand, reply to everyone. Yes, in person, absolutely. If they're a stranger, don't talk to them, right? So if they're online, don't respond. Even if they say, hey, you're hurting my feelings, why aren't you responding to me? You're being so mean. Nope. You're not being mean. You're being smart. You're being safe. You don't ever have to reply to anyone online. The minute they talk to you, put it down, tell someone, okay, mom can deal with that. I'm going to go outside and play, right? You don't have to be the one going through and having this anxiety of how to fix this problem. Put that on someone else that's an adult, and they can take care of it for you. Because tech is a blast. All right. Awesome, you guys. As we wrap up here in the last little minutes, we're doing great on time. Thank you guys for listening. You're doing a wonderful job. We got a few minutes left here. We're going to talk a little bit just about our words. And our words matter big time. Like I was talking earlier, right? This guy, Timmy, that was playing Roblox. It was all through words that they were saying, all these problems that were created. And so our words are really, really important. And while right now I'd hope you're not talking to anyone online, really, except for maybe approved friends or family members from your family, right? I would hope that the words you're saying when you get older and you start texting other friends or you start talking to other people online, whatever that might look like for you, you remember right now to always be kind. Always be kind. You never know what someone else is going through across that screen. And also the things that we say online, they stay online. They can follow you. Even right now, the stuff that you're saying and posting, they can follow you for the rest of your life. And so it's kind of an interesting testament to say, hey, God, help me out with that integrity, right, of being who I am in all different areas of my life, being the same person and being kind, right? It goes a long, long way. The Bible puts it this way: the tongue is also a fire. It exists among our members as a world of malice. James 3:6. And really what this reminds us of is pretend right here I had a fireplace. And it's awesome, and it's a nice fire, it's warm, I can roast a little marshmallow on it, right? It's a good thing. But imagine if that same fire was moved outside of the fireplace, 3 feet on the floor right here. What would happen? Yeah, it would start to spread. I would get burned. It would hurt. It's the same thing, but in a different place, right? And so our words, when we use it in a place of kindness and joy and gentleness, peacefulness, right? Oh, it's so good. Our words, when we lash out and we're angry and we're upset and we're just talking smack on Roblox, it's not good. It hurts people. It can spread. It can damage people, right? And so again, wherever you are, make sure that you're being kind. Simple picture of just stop bullying me. I am a person. We're all people. We're all gathered here together. There's so many problems online. I would hope that when you all come together here at school, you can be a good community, right? And you can have each other's back and support each other. Talk to each other of, hey, have you ever experienced the stuff Isaac was talking about? What have you done before? You talked to your parents and it was okay? Oh, man, maybe I should do that too, right? Just talk to each other about this stuff. It's really, really good. And be there for each other. And so, tech is a blast. Awesome, you guys. You got it. So really quickly, as we wrap up, I just want to hear from a few of you. What's something you learned? Just raise your hand, and I'll talk about something that you learned today about digital safety, about how to be safe and use technology better. Yeah. Put it down and tell someone. Yes. Awesome. So glad you learned that. So good. You matter. Yes. Remember, you matter. You're worth it. That's amazing. Don't say anything mean on Roblox. I would say, better yet, don't even play Roblox. I won't go that far because I'm not your parents, but that's what I would say. Don't talk to strangers. Bingo. So good. Limit screen time. Yeah, don't be slugging all the time. That's right. God has a lot of other cool stuff for us. Yes. Friends, that one is so important. If you see something like this that we've been talking about, that is not your fault, and you're not going to get in trouble for seeing something, right? All right, we got a lot of hands back here, which makes me assume that these guys are up to no good, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, all right, go for it. What you got? Don't talk to random people on Fortnite. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Don't do it. All right. All the guys back there, don't talk to random people on Fortnite. All right, friends, well, we are just about out of time here, but again, my name was Isaac. I was at the Better Tech Project. Please don't forget what we talked about here today. Let's do it all together one more time. Remember, tech is a blast. And if we ever see anything weird, scary, inappropriate, uncomfortable, what are we going to do? Turn it down. Let's try that again. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Turn it down. Tell someone. Awesome, you guys. I was so grateful and happy to be here today. Stay where you're seated, and you'll get dismissed here in just a minute, okay? Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Nicholas Weber, and I am principal of the day at St. Henry School. Our speaker this morning is from an organization called Better Tech Project. He is here to speak to students from all over the Diocese of Nashville about technology use. Although he is talking directly with us in the fellowship hall here at St. Henry, there are a number of schools watching this through live stream. Welcome to all the students who are on live stream. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Isaac Taher. Isaac is newly married, loves music, movies, and games. We are grateful to Isaac for being here today. Please give Isaac your full attention and join me in welcoming him to St. Henry School.
Hey, everybody. Yes, thank you, Principal Nicholas. Awesome. You guys' principal is pretty cool, gotta say. Again, my name is Isaac. I'm with the Better Tech Project, and I'm here to talk about a few different things today. Really what I want to get at is the fact that you matter and that you're worth it. And the things that we do online, there might be a better way to maybe do some of the things that we do. So if you've ever been part of a tech talk where it was like terrible and bad, it made it feel like you were the problem, I don't want this to be like a cringy conversation where I'm just like, you're bad and you're awful, everything you do is wrong, and how dare you, and get all upset, scare you about stuff. That's not what I'm here to do. I want to be here today just to talk about openly and honestly about the way that we use our devices, and just thinking, man, is this the best thing for me, the way that I do this? What I'm watching, what I'm viewing, what I'm playing, what's on my screen, what I'm sharing, what I'm sending, how I'm comparing things, or whatever that might look like. Is this good for me? Is this healthy for me? Is there a better way that I could sort of use this technology, and what would that look like? And so we're going to talk about a few different things here today. We're going to talk about where our value comes from, where our identity comes from, and how it shouldn't be from stuff online, but it should be from God, right? Then we're going to look at why what we see matters, what we say matters, what we share matters, and what we stand for, why all of those matter a lot, especially in regards to what we're doing online and on screens and everything. And I'll leave you with a few things that you can do today to feel a little bit better about whatever situation you might find yourself in. And so there might be a few of you that you kind of haven't had a conversation like this. We might talk about things you haven't really talked about in a setting like this. It might be a little uncomfortable. It'll be okay. It'll be good. We're all going through this together. And we'll land at a spot where I hope you all feel really encouraged and empowered to be able to be like, no, you know what? I got this. And I'm in control of this kind of stuff, and it's going to be okay. Awesome. So again, you matter. You are so, so important, and that's why we're here at the Better Tech Project, right? And I know it might be like, oh, everyone just wants to control everything. Everyone just wants to make sure I'm safe and put all these controls and all this craziness, and I can't ever do what I want, don't have any freedom. That's not necessarily the case. It's because we love you. It's because you matter. It's because you're worth it, and we want to do everything in our power to make sure that you're okay. And then that's really the heart of what we're doing here, right? And so again, yes, my name is Isaac. This is me and my wife, Victoria. We got married just last summer in July, so not even a year yet. Really exciting. Today actually marks the 4th year that we have been dating officially and then together, so it's been super awesome. I'm sad to not be with my wife today, but she understands and knows that this is kind of stuff that I do. I go and travel and I talk and I do these conversations, and she's super supportive and amazing. This was in Michigan where we got married, but we do live in Florida, so I brought the sunshine for you all today. You're welcome. From Florida. And this is our only kid right now is Hopscotch there, the cat in the sweater. I still have scars, I think, from when I put that on her, and so in retaliation, she claimed the bathroom. She's a crazy cat. My wife's awesome. I love them both dearly, and I'm really happy to be here today. And so just to get to know me a little bit better, we have 2 truths and a lie about myself, okay? So one of these things is false. The other 2 are true, okay? So just raise a hand if which one you think is false, okay? So either 1, I'm ambidextrous, where I'm fluent with kind of both hands, okay? Who knows? 2, I have 9 names, or 3, I have a talent for doing impressions of people. Which one do you think is false? Raise your hand. 1, 2, or 3 with the numbers. See, okay, we got a lot of 2s, some 3s, 2s, 1, some 3s. Okay, let's find out. I am not ambidextrous, okay? I actually did have 9 names. I need to update this slide. Since I got married, I also took my wife's name. So I actually have 10 names, oddly enough. So that time one technically isn't true because I have more than 9 names now, which you're like, that doesn't even make sense. And then I do have a talent for doing impressions of people. So the names thing. My father grew up in the Middle East, and he has a really interesting story about how God totally grabbed him from that time and culture, brought him to the United States. He met my mom in college. They got together, got married. Here I am, right? And so I could talk about that for a whole other, it's an amazing, amazing story. My dad is one of the coolest Christians I know, and he's instilled so much in me about how to follow God and love others and everything. And he's amazing and wonderful. And with that comes this sort of, I'm half Persian, half American, and that heritage comes with a lot of different names, as it turns out. So my legal name right now is Isaac Rashid, my wife's name, Crawford Taher. My full sort of name, which I've never had to write out, don't worry, is Isaac Rashid Crawford Mohammed Taher Ahmed Ibrahim Farisi Farsi Galadari, which goes back all the way to like grandfather, great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-great-grandfather, like tribe, language, a little place in like Iran, like literally. Also interesting, my wife and I and my brothers visited where my dad grew up in the Middle East in a small, tiny country called Bahrain. So look it up. I mean, it's in the Persian Gulf by Qatar, and if you look at it, usually the word Bahrain like covers it on a globe, right? So it's a super small country. Some really loving people that I got to visit, and some of my extended family. They're awesome, awesome individuals, and it was a blessing to be able to spend time with them and get to see where my dad grew up and all that kind of stuff. So really cool that everything there. The 9 names, 10 names now, that's kind of where that comes from. 3, okay, so I do have a talent of doing impressions. I don't often get embarrassed. I get a little embarrassed. Do you guys want to hear my Despicable Me Gru voice? All right, you're all supposed to say no, but okay, all right, here we go. Okay, ready? Tonight, we steal the moon. All right, there you go. That's not bad, right? Okay. You're only cringing a little bit. I am too. No annoying sounds. Do not poop or bite for the fart. Right? Okay, Despicable Me. I know, good one. All right, so there's a secondhand embarrassment. I won't do any more. Yeah, I have a talent impressions. You're like, this guy's weird. There you go. So a little bit more about our universe, stuff about our world here. 2 truths and a lie. One of these is false. 1, there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on Earth. 2, humans only use 10% of their brain. Or 3, Earths can predict snake quakes, right? No, snakes can predict earthquakes. Which one do you think is false? Raise a hand with the number of which one you think is not true. 2, 3s, 1s, boom. 2 is not true. God gave us this brain. We use it a lot. Some of you are using 0%. That's fine. I'm just kidding. Some of us, I think where this comes from is we're not always using every area of our brain. Like we don't have full, like our brain activity isn't always every single part of our brain fired up. But that's actually a good thing because you would probably feel like you're going crazy if that was true. But our brains are wonderful. We use them all the time and a lot more than 10%. And yeah, if you are afraid of earthquakes, buy a snake, and it'll be like, yo, earthquake's coming. I don't know actually how they know this, but they know. They know when it's coming. So related a little bit more to you all, high school students are on screens more than middle school students. The average person spends more time on TikTok than Instagram, or social media can impact how we view ourselves and others. What do you think is the lie there? Which one is not true? 1, 2, 3. It is this one. So on average, students your age, 11 to 14, spend about 9 hours a day on a screen. Now, that can be like throughout school. That can be, different activities, different things. You're watching a movie with your family. It doesn't always necessarily mean just like me and my screen, but it could be. And again, it's on average. So for some of you, they're like, yes, it's more like 12 hours, please. It's average, right? And then older students, as they get into high school, 7.5 hours a day. They got a little bit more responsibilities. They're driving, they're at jobs, other stuff going on, so they don't have as much time to do that. But regardless, we'll probably fall somewhere between that 6 to 10 hours a day on a screen, right? And so it kind of just begs the question of like, man, like, what does that time look like? What does that look like? If I were to show a review of your screen time from this past week up here, would that be like, no, yeah, right? You're like, please don't. No, actually. Or would it be like, yes, do that because right there, nope, not that day. Yep, last Wednesday, boom, that's a great meme, a really funny video, that's why I'll watch it, right? Like what would that kind of look like? And I think sometimes when we get to that point where we sort of wouldn't want to share what we do on our devices, we sort of have this like kind of separate digital secret life that nobody else really knows about. And we're that good Christian kid en masse and at school. But then, man, when we're with our friends on our phones and we're at night alone, whatever it is, we're just sort of doing all this other stuff that we feel like nobody knows about. And sometimes that's a hard place to be. And sometimes it's not always your fault because you might have just been given a device without really much instruction, or your parents or whoever might not even have a lot of understanding of what's out there. Us as humans really are just beginning to understand how this stuff affects us. And so it's not really anyone's fault in particular. Maybe the tech billionaires, we could put a lot of blame on them. But oftentimes we find ourselves in this space of, man, what do I do? How do I balance this like secret digital life that I might have versus the life I kind of want to be living, the life that I know God has for me, right? and all these different things. So we're just going to talk about how we can use our devices in better ways in light of all that. And that's really the bigger questions we're going to be getting at. Again, are who am I? Where does my identity come from? And do I matter? Where does my value come from? And so The Social Dilemma is a really interesting documentary on Netflix, and it goes over and looks at interviews, different people that used to work at Google or Twitter or X, Snapchat, Instagram, all these places, and they interview these people because they quit. They used to work there and they left. You might be thinking like, why would you leave a job at Google? That sounds cool, right? And it's because the longer they worked there, or at YouTube or wherever, they started seeing how the company was treating people, and especially kids, especially younger people, and they're like, no, this is not right. I don't want to be part of this anymore because this is not right. There are some people that work there because they want to change that, right? And so there's sort of this hard thing there. And so really, this documentary gets to the point that social media doesn't care about you. And in most of these places, even if it's a video game or an app or whatever else it might be, a video streaming service, you're just a number to them. And they just want your time and attention, right? Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, other apps, Discord, Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, they don't care about you. Snapchat doesn't care about you. They will go to the ends of the earth, right? It almost feels like, what did you just say? You're just like, I love those things. Like, how could you say they don't care about me? They don't, because to them, you're just a number. And they're a business, and they make money off of you, right? And so we shouldn't necessarily be super surprised about that. So I would argue because they don't care about us so much, I don't think we should put so much of our care and hold and attention on them either. If you woke up the next morning and your favorite app or game was deleted, would you be like, dude, what am I gonna do? That's who I was, man. My Instagram aesthetic feed, my Pinterest boards, now they're gone. I'm nobody. I guess this is the end, right? Or would it be like, that's upsetting, obviously. I spent time and attention there, but it's not the end of everything, right? And I think sometimes we place some of our identity within these apps and these games, and I don't think that's always healthy for us. Oh, sorry. There's a video here that plays real quick. This is the founding president of Facebook. His name is Sean Parker. You might be more familiar with Mark Zuckerberg, who did some of the other stuff with Facebook, but this guy kind of did some stuff behind the scenes. And so he talks about how when they made Facebook, I know Facebook's like a boomer app. I know, I get it. But they were the first social media place to really understand how to get people to keep coming back to it, right? That was one of the big problems with other social media. If you know anything about stuff before there, like MySpace or something else, it was hard for people why would they want to go back to this site and check it all the time? And so they figured out a way to do this, and he calls himself a very specific thing. So pay attention to this video and see if you can hear the word he identifies himself as.
If the thought process that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them to really understand it, that thought process was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you, more likes and comments. I mean, it's a social validation feedback loop that it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology.
Who caught it? What do you say? Yeah. A hacker. Yeah. Shouldn't that be kind of alarming to us? He's saying that we exploited a vulnerability in human psychology. In other ways, they know how your brain works. And as the mindset of a hacker, someone that wants to go in and figure out how to exploit something, right, and use something against someone pretty much, he's like, that was the exact thing we were looking for. And so you got to look at that, and it's like, well, they're kind of saying that this sounds crazy, but they're saying Facebook is hacking your brain, right? That's sort of the statement there, is like, but that's how all social media works. That dopamine hit is so real. When you get a number and a like and a comment, that number goes up, that notification comes out. That's a little hit of dopamine where you get excited about it. You go back to it. That's not always a bad thing, but it can lead to addictive behavior. It can lead to bad things. We can create behaviors based on dopamine. And a lot of things give us that dopamine reward center. That can be watching content we shouldn't be watching, playing mature games that are violent or graphic, inappropriate images or videos. Those things can build up dopamine, and we can get hooked on that kind of stuff because that's how our brain works, right? It can also be like reading a book and you get to the end and the twist, you're watching a movie and something really cool happens. You're working out and you can feel kind of the progress you're making. That you can also get dopamine from all of those things. So there's really, our brain works in kind of these wonderful and fearful ways how God has designed us, right? And so it's really important to remind ourselves, okay, these tech companies and games and everything, they know this, they're aware of this. Try to find a social media place that doesn't use numbers. It's nowhere because it's so much more successful to use these numbers, to use these notifications, to remind you how, comparing how good you're doing to someone else, right? Or good, quote unquote, right? And so I think just to take this and look at it and go, yeah, I don't know if my identity should lie in this. Like, look what they're saying. They said we knew what we were doing, exploiting human psychology, exploiting humans' brains, and we did it anyway. We did it anyway. We understood what this would do to people long before society at large understood what it was doing to us. And they did it anyway. Why? Because they are making money. That's all that really matters to them. Is getting fame and success. And so we want to put our identity in something different. We want to put our identity in someone that cares about us, that loves us, that has good intentions, and never changes. And the only person that fits is God. And God created human beings in his own image. And so who am I? I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. There's a mystery involved in that. Sometimes I don't understand it, but it's amazing. We're all unique. From the beginning of time all the way to the end of time, you are the only you. And God has made you specifically and uniquely. And nothing can take that away. And that's so important. And that's where our identity lies, is the fact that we're made in that image, in the image of God. Not within our likes or even our abilities to do different things of sports or grades, right? Our identity lies in the fact that we're made in the image of God. And so here's a quick video from this guy, Jaden, who had a really long streak on Snapchat. And it ended up being like over 3 years he had this streak going, you know, like the longest streak you probably ever heard of. And it was just with a total stranger. And then he kind of just reflects on the amount of time and anxiety and sort of attention that he put towards this throughout high school. And this is kind of just his reflection on it.
I always try to make time for my streaks, just a little bit of time, because it's not like anything hard. You just got to take a picture and then send it out to whoever it is. The things that I do on Snapchat are like, I'll go look at the stories, or like there's usually basketball highlights. I like basketball, so I'll go watch the basketball highlights from the game last night, or football highlights. It's just, I don't know, it's just like something to do, I guess, something to look forward to, and it helps you meet friends. A snap streak is like important to me because it's like a video game kind of, because like you just want to get higher and higher, and just like something to achieve. My longest streak was like, it was with some random person that I don't even know. Like, still to this day, I don't know them personally. But they just added me on Snapchat one day, and his name was like, let's reach 100 or something like that. And I just sent him a streak, and we didn't stop for a while. And we eventually got up to 1,000, a little bit over 1,300. At times, I did have to have people keep my streaks for me, because I've got my phone taken away before that. But like when it happened, when I lost the streak, it was just so sudden. I didn't have time, and everybody was at school, and I didn't have my phone, and I couldn't really go outside. I couldn't go outside or talk to anybody to keep my streaks, so I had no choice but to just lose it. When I lost it, I was really mad. Like, I was so mad. I didn't want to be on Snapchat anymore. It just didn't feel good at all to lose it. Looking back on it, for a streak that lasted 3 years, it was just like time consuming, to be honest. Like, you had to wait for them to send it, and then you'd be scared if they didn't send it. Don't get too wrapped up into Snapchat. I could have did a lot with the time that I spent on it. Like, I could have worked on homework. I could have played basketball. I could have linked with friends, chilled with friends, did a whole bunch of other stuff. But it happened. I can't go back.
So kind of just remind us, like, man, sometimes we can have a lot of anxiety, and We look back on something, we go, man, that was kind of meaningless to spend that much time. I mean, even the fact of like, I'm going to send someone else my information so that when I'm grounded and I don't have my phone, they can log in, keep this Snapchat streak with a stranger going. It's like, dude, we are kind of caring about this too much. And I think maybe he didn't really think too much about it at first, and then he probably started telling people and became sort of known as the Snapchat guy. Like he has the highest, like I'm sure people ask him every single day at school, how high is it now? How high? You still have it? You still have it? You still have it? And I'm sure that built up a lot of pressure until when he went to school one day and he didn't have it. They're all like, oh, you lost it? Do that. Wow. Like, you know, I'm sure like that probably really hurt in some ways because he's probably put a lot of his identity in that. Right? And so again, it's not always like this, but just a reminder that sometimes we can put so much of our identity and value in the wrong thing. And so throughout our time here together, we're going to kind of do this call and response where I will say I am created, and then I'll have all of you respond by saying I am created, and I go I am unique, I am unique, I am valuable, and I'll say you are too, and I'll point to someone, and then you can point to someone random. We'll kind of laugh, and then we'll move on. I know it's like cringy, Christian, campy. It's okay. It's really good for you to verbalize these things, and I'll do it with you, and none of you want to do it all together. So here we go. I am created. I am unique. I am valuable. And you are too. All right, nice, awesome. And so now we kind of look into our value, right? So here's some of the most expensive things. Here's the Salvator Mundi. This is a depiction of Jesus painted by Leonardo da Vinci, not DiCaprio, right, the actor. Okay. $450 million at auction. Wow, so really important, amazing painting. Super cool, very expensive. Most expensive place, the Buckingham Palace, estimated cost of $4.9 billion. I don't think they'd ever sell it, but there you go. The 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300, you can read the rest, $143 million, which means my student loans can probably be covered by the tire of this car. So really interesting thing that we begin to think that money equals value, right? I would really argue against that. But it's so embedded within our society. I mean, if you were to look at all those things without that price tag, would you still be interested in them, right? You're like, well, it was a painting of Jesus, so yes, I would be interested in that. Art, history, that's really important too, right? Buckingham Palace, architecture, history, all that stuff too, right? That's still really important. The car, a lot of us are like, yeah, cool car, right? So we're kind of excited about that still too. But if it doesn't have the price tag next to it, it might not look as enticing. Even think of yourself right now, okay, so why do you go to a good school? Oh, so you can go to a good college, right? And then why would you want to do that? Why would you go to a good college? So you can get a good job. And why do you get a good job? So you can make good money, right? I would argue you go to a good school so that you can learn. And you learn to try to figure out, God, you have this path and plan and purpose for my life. How do I get there? Do I go to college? Do I pursue work right away? What does high school look like for me? Do I sacrifice some of my time and serve my country in some way? What a sacrifice that would be. Whatever that might look like for you, I think those are more the questions we need to be asking than just thinking about the end goal of I just want to make money, right? Because really, I don't think that ever satisfies us. I don't think that's ever the right thing and what it really means and brings value. And neither does our likes. Neither does saying, man, look how many likes I got on this post. Because if that's what you're always achieving and what you see value in yourself, and what happens when you post something and nobody likes it? I guess I'll hide the like count for this one, right? Or you're like, I might even delete or remove that post because no one liked it. Or even worse, what if someone comments something negative on there and now or no longer are you just not even like, well, no one liked this post. They're actually, wow, people actually disliked this. And you feel the total flip and change of feeling like your value and worth is all based on what we post. And I think sometimes that's really hurtful too. And again, even our physical abilities to do things, that can be great, but that might change. And say you get injured and you have to ask help for. I tore my ACL in high school, and man, I had to ask my mom for help to go to the bathroom, and it just was like, boy, I do not feel super valuable right now, but nothing of my value really changed in that moment, right? And that was fine. And it's okay. I don't think our value should be shaken by things that happen in life. And so Ecclesiastes, credited to have been written by Solomon, puts it this way, right? God gives him the choice, wisdom and riches. He chooses wisdom, and God says, hey, good choice, you also get riches. And this is what he said. He said, whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. All was vanity. In other words, anything Solomon wanted, he could look at, and it was his. And so he had a really unique relationship with God. He had way too many relationships with people. He had pretty much any material thing he wanted. He could look at it, and it was given to him. And he said, at the end of the day, everything was meaningless. None of this mattered. Coming from the guy who had everything, right? And at the end, it's really our relationship with God that matters the most. Jim Carrey, right, actor, Eggman in Sonic, he puts it this way. He says, I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. Okay, I think Eggman's been reading Ecclesiastes. That's kind of interesting, right? Jim Carrey, even before Sonic and everything, of course, had a very famous acting career in the 90s and early 2000s and even before that. And so he kind of has lived that lifestyle where he could walk in a place, people would know who he is, and he could probably look at something and be like, I'm going to have that. I can get that in some kind of way, right? I don't think he was malicious with that. Jim Carrey, as far as I know, is a decent dude. I don't really know too much about him, honestly, but this quote I like a lot because I think it points at the fact that even someone in the very secular Hollywood actor age can look and live this life and go, yeah, I don't think that's the answer. I don't think that's the answer. And social media totally fuels this idea of comparison where we have the highlights, the best moments of our lives, these few seconds that we put on the screen and pretend that this is what our life really is. But at the end of the day, we can still sit down and be like, man, I just kind of still feel like this is all vanity. This is all meaningless. I don't feel satisfied, right? And truly, because we won't until we remember that God showed his love by sending Jesus, and our value comes from that. So who am I? I'm the one for whom Christ died. And our identity and our value are rooted in God. And so remember that you are valuable. You are worth it, and you are important, and you're seen, you're heard, you're amazing, you're wonderful, and we're here for you, right? And so do this with me again. I am created. I am unique. I am valuable. And you are too. All right. And so, friends, follow this train of thought with me. If you matter, then that person sitting next to you matters too. You're like, are you sure? You haven't met them. Yes, they do. You all matter, right? So in other words, people matter. And because people matter, this will be the next sort of half of our presentation here as we go over what you see matters, what you say matters, what you share matters, and what you stand for matters. And so we'll talk about some different things in each of those. We're going to start by what you see matters, right? This is really important. So I'm going to play a game with you here. I'm going to show a paragraph up on the screen for just a little bit, and it's going to be kind of hard to understand. It's kind of out of context. It's a small paragraph. I'm going to give you a few seconds to try to see a little challenge here. See if you can read it and figure out what this is talking about, okay? So here we go. 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. Boy, did anyone get it? Raise your hand if you kind of maybe have a guess. It's pretty hard. Just keep thinking that to yourself. Okay, maybe. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of the same exact thing that paragraph is talking about, okay? I'm going to show you an image that relates to it. And I'm going to go pretty much as fast as this clicker will let me, and we'll see if we can all understand what it is, okay? Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. What was it? Space, moon, right? Yeah, so this is Neil Armstrong, whatever, right? On the moon here. And this is his biography, his description, right? One small step for man, one giant leap for all that stuff, right? And so if you happen to see the part up there where it says like Neil, the Earth liftoff, that's probably like the best place you could glance. But otherwise, it's like, this is out of context, right? Like a tech talk, what's going on? This is a conversation about the moon now, and it's hard to understand and read and see quickly. And within about 3 to 5 seconds, we really didn't understand what this was. Yet, in less than a second, I showed this image, and everyone in the room knew what it was. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that so interesting that we are created so visually? I really like to focus on this one in kind of the middle there that says, these are just some statistics on visuals. I like to focus on the fact that visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than text. So in other words, when you're trying to read that paragraph, it was hard to understand. But when you saw the picture, your brain processed that 60,000 times faster just by looking at it because it was an image, right? Super interesting. And it kind of begs the question, when you're on your devices, we're talking about what you see matters, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? What's on your device? And understanding whatever that is, I don't want to guilt or shame anyone for anything because there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, and oftentimes it's not your fault if you've seen explicit content, if you've seen something that's not proper, if it's mature content, if it's inappropriate, people without much clothes on, something graphic, violent, horror, whatever it could be. If you've seen that, it's not often your fault because that stuff is just kind of everywhere. And it's very easy to find, and sometimes it finds us. And in those moments, it can be, again, dopamine. Talk about dopamine. That stuff can trigger dopamine so fast, and our brains go back to it. And especially if we saw this stuff at an early age, it can be really difficult to stop. And you can be just consuming content that you don't even necessarily enjoy because your brain has just kind of been wired that way to enjoy this way. And because you're processing this information 60,000 times faster. And remember, whatever you're watching, if you were to read about whatever's going on your screen, your brain is learning about it 60,000 times faster than that. And so it's really important. It's really important that we are careful with what we look at. And there's a lot of improper things. Friends, in high school, I was struggling with watching things that I shouldn't watch on the internet. And I was writing about it in my Bible journal notebook kind of thing that I had when I was at a Bible study, that I was struggling with this content that I was looking at that I should have been, that I knew was bad for me, and I kept doing it anyway. And like a silly high school guy, I left it flat open on the kitchen counter table. And so my mom comes around and she's cleaning up for dinner, and she grabs this notebook and she goes, Isaac is struggling with what? And so she comes to me, and I see her holding this folder, and I go, you know, like the blood drains from my face. I'm like, wide. I'm like, there goes my Xbox. There goes my phone. I was homeschooled. So I'm like, I'm probably never leaving the house. I'm probably just going to die here now, right? Like, I was like, it's all over. And the conversation, I was so afraid. I was like, when Dad gets home, right? I was so afraid. It was so backwards. She began to sort of blame herself for how I'd been watching this stuff on the devices that we used as a family, and she didn't know about it within our own home. And I was like, whoa, Mom, this is not your fault. I'm the one going and looking and searching for it. And she was like, well, it's not your fault. We weren't checking in. We didn't have these conversations with you, really. And when my dad came home, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's he going to say? And sometimes these conversations are a little bit more awkward, a little bit more heavy or easier, guy to guy, girl to girl. And so my dad would kind of took the approach of like, Isaac, I'm sorry, I didn't really talk to you about this all that much. I didn't check in as much as I should have. Totally different than what I would have thought, right? And sometimes when we see content online that we know is bad and wrong, and whatever it might be, there's that little lie within us that says, I can't tell anyone else about this. Mom and Dad aren't going to understand. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. They're going to take everything away, and it's going to be terrible, and so I'm just going to hold on to this secret, and I'm not going to let anyone know, even though at the same time we're also like, I can't handle this, and I feel like I'm breaking inside because of this secret that I'm housing, and it's taking a toll on me, but I don't want to confess it. And friends, I think there was a part of me that laid that notebook flat open on the kitchen counter table on purpose because I wanted to get caught. I wanted to have this conversation. I didn't know how. And that was a way for me to start that. And I look back, and I'm so thankful for the conversation I had with my parents. And yeah, there were consequences that were happened. Yeah, there's things that I do differently now, of course, too. But a lot of that comes back to that conversation. I got married last year, and that was amazing and wonderful. At the beginning of that year, outside of anything related to my wife, there was a lot of other stuff that happened, and it was one of the worst beginnings to a year that I've ever had in my life. And my parents are still the people that I talk to. My wife's included in that now too, right? My parents are still the people that I call and I go to when life is hard and it gets hard. And that all stems from that conversation that I had with them that I didn't want to have, that was awkward, that was uncomfortable, that was scary. But it was so good for me because I learned two things. That one, my parents love me, and there's nothing I can do that'll change that. And two, I can always go to them with anything, and they're going to be safe. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know all of your parents and family, but I would hope that there's at least one trusted adult in your family and person that you know, that when you see something that's scary, confusing, uncomfortable, inappropriate, awkward, it just like bothers you, you can't stop going to it, whatever that might be, whatever's kind of in your mind as we've been talking about it, whatever maybe God brings up in this moment, whatever that thing is, I would hope that there's a trusted adult that you can go and talk to about it. And it sounds like you want me to go and tell them what? Like it sounds like the total backwards, like I said earlier. There's that lie and that feeling of, no, I can't. I can't. Are you kidding me? You want me to? Yes. Yes, I do, because I think once you confess that, and once you just sort of acknowledge and say, hey, I've been struggling with this, man, you step into a whole different light of, I didn't know I was so heavy. But now talking about it, being on the other side, wow, do I feel so much better. Wow, do I feel so much lighter. Wow, do I feel like me again, right? And so it might not be that serious, but if there is something there, I'd really encourage you to talk to your families about it. Talk to that trusted, loving, caring adult that you know takes care of you. If that's mom or dad, awesome. If it's grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, a caregiver, a guardian, if it's older brother, sister, sibling, whoever that might be, a teacher, youth worker, youth pastor, whoever that person is for you, oh, please tell them, don't do this life alone, right? There's a lot of stuff out there, and our brain is looking at it and learning and processing, and it can be really hard and lonely to just sit in that. So don't sit in it. Be brave. Life gets boring sometimes. Shake it up a little bit. Spill all your secrets, right? Be bold and courageous. Confess something that is bothering you and talk about it, and you'll see the results of how good that is for you. And if you figure that out right now, at your age, right, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, oh, if you can figure this out right now, I promise you that life that God has planned for you, it's going to be so much easier right now if you can figure that out. Because again, there's nothing you can do to really get rid of that, right? God has a plan for you, but we can make that a pretty bumpy path. This is a way to kind of hopefully make that path align a little bit straighter. So it can be hard. It might not be easy, but it's so, so good. And truth be told, some of the things that we're seeing online might not even be real that we end up believing and we end up buying into, right? And then there's different things like that here too. This is my friend Ryan. Actually, it's just a video that he was going to talk a lot of the same things that I just said, so I'm going to skip over it. But really, one of the things he does mention in this video is that if you ever see anything like that content I was kind of talking about, maybe that I struggle with or something you struggle with or you just know isn't good in your heart of hearts, right? Do you ever feel anything like that, see that? What we're going to do is we're going to put that device down, whatever it is, we're going to put it down and tell someone. And that's just the immediate kind of trigger and action. You know that whenever you see something weird, put it down, tell that loving, trusted adult that you know, and that's going to be really good for you. And again, there's going to come a time where you see this stuff, whatever it might be for you, and you're going to get like that sense of, I can't tell anyone. And I hope annoyingly you think of this conversation, you think of me, and you go, I remember Isaac said I would feel this. Maybe I should go tell someone. And he said it would be scary, but he also said it would be good. And I matter, and I value, and I am valuable, and I'm created, I'm unique. I can do this. And again, I would really hope that person you tell, we had parents gathered here last night with my coworker Doug, who is an awesome guy. He's actually my wife's cousin, and so he did our wedding for us, which was really cool. Doug's awesome. And he was here last night, and he was talking to a lot of your families, a lot of your parents. And they all gathered to sort of discuss how to have these conversations. So you might even be thinking, my mom has no idea this stuff is even out there. You want me to go tell her that I've been watching it? Like, no way. They might actually have a totally different attitude towards this stuff that you don't know about because of the conversations that happened last night. You might even be like, yeah, I had a super weird conversation with her last night that seemed totally unprompted. It might have been from that, right? And so don't write them off too fast. Your parents have also had a life before you, believe it or not, and they might have gone through things that they can relate to you in what's going on. I know for me that a lot of the times my parents would be talking about different things. I'd be like, yeah, I already knew that. Yeah, Dad, I knew that a while ago. He's like, really? I should have had this conversation sooner, right? All these different things. And sometimes like, yeah, we already kind of know what's going on. And our parents might not know that we're there yet, but they have already experienced a lot of stuff. And I know when I shared all that stuff in high school with them and we had conversations, I learned so much about my parents, and that helped me trust them, and it helped me go back to them. So you might be surprised by what your parents have maybe gone through, what they can relate to, and the approach they might take to this. Or again, that trusted, loving adult I really encourage you to talk to, right? And so remember that love is selfless. When we're loving ourselves, when we're loving God, when we're loving others, we're being selfless. And to only think of ourselves in these ways, to just do the stuff we like to do online, to watch the stuff we like to watch, to do whatever that looks like, that's selfish, and that harms other people. And some of the content we'll be watching could be harmful in that nature too. And the reality is that you can choose to quit, right? Little victory baby meme from like a while ago. It's a good one, but it just reminds us, hey, you can choose to quit. There's a lot of things in this life that we're not in control of. We are in control of our actions, and if it ever begins to feel like I'm not in control and I can't stop doing things that I don't want to do, man, then that might be a sign that I need to go talk to someone. And this is not new, right? Paul in Romans struggled with this, Romans 7:7, where he's like, I do what I don't want to do, and what I don't want to do, I do, right? The kind of the Bible tongue twister there, and it really gets this idea that like there are about us than human nature, the sin that has entered the world. We end up in spaces and times and moments where we're doing stuff we know is not good for us. And God gets that, and God understands that. I think God has appointed people specifically in your life to deal with those issues too. And so yes, talk to God about it, but don't just talk to God. Like, God, who else have you appointed in my life to bring this conversation to? Maybe before I talk to my parents, I talk to my youth pastor. I talk to whoever, my teachers here. I talk to someone else and say, hey, how can I help me with this conversation? How can I bring this to my parents, right? Whoever that trusted, loving adult is. And pray about it, think about it, and be bold and confess it and talk about it. And then you'll feel so much better. I promise you. I promise you. You can choose to quit. I am created. Let's do that again. I am created. I am unique. I am valuable. And you are too. All right, awesome. And so because people matter, what you say matters, right? And sometimes we say things with our thumbs we'd never say with our tongues. I was totally this person. You should have seen me, little Isaac gamer, 10 years old, the Xbox 360, my rinky-dink little headset, playing like Halo and Call of Duty, where I was like, dude, I was like 10. I'm playing like these mature M-rated shooter games. Bad. I'm like the exact opposite of what I would hope you're doing right now. Because it wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for me. And I think I was in spaces where there were adults. And I was in digital spaces where there were people that were saying words I didn't understand, and I would say them back, and I'd get in trouble for it because I wasn't really understanding what these words meant. And then I was homeschooled, and so I had no idea, I didn't go to school every day and like kind of experience this in other ways. And man, it was bad. It's bad. And I look back on that and I go, wow, my parents had no idea what was going on, because I totally gaslit them to let me do whatever I wanted, right? I was like, oh, my friends play this, it'll just be me and my friend. And I go and I play online immediately, and then I'm not actually playing with any of my friends, right? Like, that's just what we did as kids. I'm sure you maybe have done similar things too, right? And it only looks like that more and more. But I think when we're online, we sort of feel like there's this pass to just, I can say whatever, because it's just within this Discord conversation, so it's fine. I can say whatever, because it's just within this Snapchat group chat, so it doesn't matter. Friends, the stuff you do and say online actually probably has a greater chance of being heard by more people than what you do in person. That's the reality of what we live in, especially when you're posting. We'll talk about that when we talk about what we share matters. But especially for saying things online, man, I mean, you never really know the way it can affect someone else. I was just talking with the 3rd through 5th graders, and one of the things I bring up this story of this kid that came up to me after our talk at a different school, and this kid comes up to me and says, Isaac, I gotta tell you something. Okay? And he's like, this is a younger kid, mind you, so he goes, I was playing Roblox last night, and he was like, I was just super mad and angry. I don't know, things were going on with his family, something. He was so upset. And I started playing, and I was just playing with someone else, and he said, I started saying the worst words, this and that, and the worst words you could imagine for your grader knowing, okay? He's saying all of this hateful stuff online. He goes to school the next day, and his best friend is, like, devastated. He's like, bro, what's going on? Like, why are you so sad? He's like, I was playing Roblox last night, and this guy that I paired up with was just saying all the same terrible things, and he realized it was him. He realized he had gone online, was playing Roblox, didn't have his friend added. He found him. I mean, what are the odds, right? But he found his friend that was also playing the same thing and just destroyed his night. Ruined his night, and the next morning and part of that week, and he told me, he's like, Isaac, I didn't know it was him. If I knew that, I would have never said those things. And so it just reminds us that, one, we probably shouldn't talk to people we don't know, because it turns out it could be someone we do know, and that could come up later. Our actions, we can't act as if there's no accountability online, because the reverse is probably true. There should be more accountability online. Again, you have a greater chance of being able to be seen, of that conversation being heard if it's online than in person, honestly. And so sometimes we think, well, I can just do whatever, no accountability, it's fine. But again, where does your integrity lie? What does God say about that? Right? That you can just do whatever you want when no one's watching, but then when people are watching, you better pretend to be perfect? Like, no, that's not real. God wants you to be real, and I would hope that the real you is kind and is just and is lovely and is admirable, right? Praiseworthy, excellent, things that we should think about. And so remember that wherever you might be talking online, texting online, even if it's just a joke, sometimes these things can be really harmful, and the words that we say should always be good. Just a meme about how when you go to text someone and they have like green bubbles, or your bubbles are green, you're like, dude, you got an Android? You're like, oh my gosh, we're so mean, we're so mean. And just think to yourself right now, you don't have to do anything, just think to yourself, like, what's the kindness sort of rating at my school, right? What's the kindness, and remind yourselves that you as the student population, you're in control of this number. If you want to show up every single day here and make this the lowest one kindness ever terrible, you can do that pretty easily. If you all wanted to group together and say, hey, we want to do something different, online has a lot of problems, and when we come together in person, we want to make this place good and cool and nice, you can do that pretty easily as well. Make it a 5, right? And just think, how can you make it a little bit kinder? What can you do? Well, you can choose kindness in all of your actions. You can maybe think there's someone you need to apologize to, a relationship you need to mend. Maybe something happened online. I worked at a youth center in Michigan, and I could see fights breaking out hours before they happened because someone was Snapchatting this person, they Snapchat that person, and you can see the stares and like the and the and they get so angry, and then they're fighting in the parking lot. Yep, sure enough. And so like you could see this stuff coming from a mile away, and maybe there's something that you've gone through in a moment, happened online. Maybe you insulted someone in a way, I don't know, the drama, it can happen, right? Maybe there's someone you just need to sit down and say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, right? How can we bring that kindness number back up? Remember, I am created. I am unique. I am valuable. And you are too. All right, so because people matter, what you send matters. Friend, this is a really good one, okay? Send memes. These are good ones to send, okay? I know these are like old memes. These are like boomer memes. You're like, dude, but if I were to update this page with the current memes, this would be my full-time 40 hours a week job. They're not going to pay me to do that, right? So these are just some classic memes. These are some old ones. My favorite is probably the highway one, where it's like the obvious answer of what I should be doing, and then it's like, what I end up doing. The philosophical raptor, or however he's called. Some good ones, right? Some classic memes. Who knows what this picture is? You're like, this is a dog and a foot. What are we doing? This is actually a historical image, believe it or not. This is the first image ever uploaded to Instagram by Kevin Systrom, who made Instagram, July 16, 2010. All right? That was almost 15 years ago now. How many of you are younger than 15? Just about every hand goes up for the students. Yep, you can put your hands down. This picture will be older than you this year. Isn't that crazy to think about? And here I am at a school showing it to you all. And we show this to remind you that what you do online stays online. Even the stuff you're posting right now today, imagine 15 years from now, some dude shows up at a school and shows it on the screen. That's no different, right? I'm just some guy, I'm here, I'm showing you a 15-year-old picture that I found on Instagram. You can still go back and find it. It's no different. Everything that we do online creates a digital footprint. Oh, kind of connects, right? All right, come on. And I think it's really important to remind ourselves of that, right? And we sometimes buy into and believe the fact that, like, well, Snapchat says I'll get a notification if they screenshot. Actually, Snapchat even says that the picture will go away. Okay, it might go away from your device. It might go away from the person who received its device, but it's still on Snapchat's server. It still used their application to send it, so it's still stored somewhere. It doesn't go away, actually. And how do you know that there's not a secondary device behind the receiving, and they take a picture on that and you don't get the notification? Even if you do get a notification, what's that going to do? They have the picture, right? We can't live in this idea and mentality that we can just kind of send and do whatever we want, because, friends, that stuff stays forever. And so we might be tempted sometimes to send things that are inappropriate. We might be tempted sometimes to ask for things that are inappropriate. And friends, we just want to remind you that's a big deal, and that can follow you for a very long time. I would hope when you get older, you can Google yourself and you can look back at your life and be like, yo, this was like, imagine 50 years from now, and you're like, yo, this is my time at St. Anne. Look at me in middle school. Isn't this crazy? And you're showing it to like your grandkids. Wouldn't that be so cool? I would love to go to my grandma and be like, Grandma, show me your social media from the 50s. That'd be awesome. I would love that. She has some photos and such, right? That's cool too. But it'd be so different, I feel like, right? Now I would be really sad if instead you're like, yeah, don't Google my name. I sent a stupid picture when I was in middle school. I shouldn't have done it. When I was in high school, I was in whatever. And it's the first thing that pops up now. And I have no control over it. I don't want you to Google my name and look at, right? And so, friends, I would hope that whatever, again, that can get in the way of just socially, it can be awkward and hard, but there could also be like future job opportunities that are lost because of that. Future, higher education or other things, right? Because they'll look at your perfectly crafted resume that's an awesome description of who you are, but then they also go and stalk you on social media. And they'll go to your friends' posts, your tagged posts, and they'll find your friends of friends, and they'll see who you really are. And if that doesn't line up with what you're telling them, you might not get that opportunity. And that can hurt you in the long run. I would hope that your digital footprint is creating a long-term, valuable, you can look back and you can see all this stuff and say, yeah, this is who I am, and I'm proud of that, and it's awesome. I would hate if it, really dislike if it was like, yeah, I don't want anyone to see this. I want to keep this a secret. I don't want to share it with anyone. Friends, secrets always have a way of finding themselves out, right? And so it's better to take a stance right now today. You go, hey, you know what? I'm going to be really careful with what I say online. I mean, cancel culture is real. How many of you have seen on the news other things of people getting canceled from saying stuff years and years and years ago because of it being on Twitter or being in a comment section or just being a video or image, right? That happens. And this stuff can follow you for the rest of your life. We've never in human history had to deal with this before, especially at such young ages where you have the impact to sort of have something lifelong right now that you can do easily. And so we just want to remind you. Don't want to scare you, don't want to judge you, don't want to, kind of bring any guilt and shame into that, but just want to remind you of the reality that we face there. And so to be cautious and to be cautious in all of that. Obviously, don't share your passwords and information. But again, people we talk to on the internet, sometimes they're tricky. Sometimes we're sharing our Snapchat usernames to keep our streaks going. That's not the smartest thing to do, to text that kind of stuff, right? It's not really a good idea. Don't do that. Google would like to use your permission, Waldo. He doesn't. He's not very happy about it, right? You can actually hit don't allow. You can reject the cookies. You can reject the cookies. You don't have to accept every single thing, right? You don't have to give them all your data all the time. And so remember again, I am created. I am unique. I am valuable. And you are too. Fantastic, guys. All right. We got another section here, and then we're going to talk about what we stand for matters. Then we're going to leave you with what you, some things you can do today to feel a bit better. So thank you guys for doing an awesome job. We got about 10 minutes left here, okay? Here we go. What you stand for, it really matters. And if you stand for nothing, you're going to fall for everything. Again, I can be here for about an hour. We can say, yeah, this is awesome. Yes, I believe this. And then we can go back home and we can do the same things on our own night. When we go back home, we can play those same games that we know probably aren't the best for us. We can talk smack and have the Discord chats. We can compare ourselves on social media. We can do all these things, right? I can't change what you're going to do in these next few days here. I'm here for one conversation to really hope that I can jumpstart and encourage and empower the amazingness that you all already have. To say, hey, you know what? I'm done living like this, and I want to stop that. Can you guys, let's get together. Let's do this together. Let's stand up for this together, right? Don't let this be a one-time conversation. Take that bold approach. Say, God, what do you want me to do in this? What can I do differently? How can I encourage someone else? What can I share with my parents or whoever that trusted person is? What do I need to confess? How will you stand for this truly? More than just sitting here and being like, yeah, right? But really in your heart of hearts, when you're alone, when you have those moments to maybe make some mistakes, you go, you know what? I'm going to be a little different. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to delete that social media app for a day, for a week. I'm going to try. I'm going to go to school without my phone. I'm going to go out without my phone, right? Just try it. See what it feels like, right? And so what do you stand for? I hope you stand up for kindness, and you stand up for your classmates. You see someone hurting, instead of texting your friend being like, did you see how sad so-and-so? They look so lame. Be like, no. Go and talk to them. Be like, hey, are you okay? Be kind, right? Stand up for yourself. Again, sometimes it can feel sort of selfish to sort of like, you mean you want me to just think about me? Isn't that selfish, right? I know growing up in Christian places, sometimes that felt like that for me, where I felt like I couldn't ever care about myself because I know I was being selfish. I had to always be thinking about other people. Have you ever been on an airplane? Raise your hand. You've been on a plane before? Yeah, okay, wow, we got a lot of flyers. All right, awesome. One of the things that always confused me when I was flying for the first time, or a few times, was that when they talk about the instructions, if you lose oxygen, here's what you're gonna do, the masks come down, yeah, and they said, don't help the person next to you. Like, what are you talking about? This person's crazy. Like, what do you mean? The air flight person says, don't help the person next to you. Put your own mask on first. And I'm like, these are a bunch of selfish airplane pilots. These people are terrible, right? I'm like thinking that. And they say, actually put your mask on first to get the oxygen going to you, because then you'll be set up to better help other people. If someone next to you is struggling and they don't have the ability to do whatever, if you go and do that and then you're losing oxygen and then you can't put your own mask on, now the person that was kind of able to help people is no longer able and then is still struggling, that doesn't really help anyone. If you're confident, you can do that first and then you can begin to help more and more and more. I think the same sort of thing here. Stance for yourself and your well-being of what you're doing on your devices, what you're saying, what you're sending, what you're sharing. Because then once you do that, once you take a stance for yourself, it's going to be a lot easier to help other people, right? And that's really, I know what a lot of us want to do. And so remember, it's not being selfish to take care of yourself. And sometimes that can put you in a better place to try and take care of others. And so remember, what you say matters, what you say matters, what you send matters, and what you stand for matters. I want to leave you with one thing you can do today to feel a little bit more valuable. Read the Bible and pray. Turns out God's not a stranger to all this stuff. And he wrote a book all about how to kind of live life, and it's called the Bible. It's pretty awesome. Read it. It's wacky. It's interesting. It's wild. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It can change your life. There's drama in it. I mean, talk about drama. Go read Genesis and just read about what happens. Don't read the Bible for the drama. That's really weird. But it is pretty dramatic. There are things that happen. We talk about human nature. It's so like, what is going on in this story? Read it with an adult. Read it with someone else. It's so interesting and fascinating. You learn so much about people, about God, about yourself. It's a wonderful thing. And then pray. Talk to God about the verses that confuse you. Talk to God about what's going on in your own life and filter and fuel that relationship more. It's a wonderful thing, right? Unfollow toxic accounts. I know for me, I'm not on social media really. There are a lot of accounts that were posting pictures that would lead me to other places. There's temptations, things on there I just didn't want to be a part of anymore. And I'm like, this is junk. I don't want to see that. So yeah, I'm not in all the Instagram group chats. I'm not in all the Snapchat group chats. I then moved out of the state I grew up in. I live in Florida, and sometimes I miss out on things. And that's fine, because I miss out on a lot of junk too. And I still call my friends. I text them. I hang out with them still when I can, right? I talk to them in other ways. And so if there's ever an account that you follow that you know, like, yeah, they post this thing, and it's not really good, and if my parents were to look at all my followers, I would hope they wouldn't click this account. Like, that's probably a good indication that you should maybe not be following that account, right? So unfollow some people. Sleep. Turn off notifications. My phone right now has been on presenting mode, which means nobody can get a hold of me. This phone, nothing works right now. Not even my wife back home, who I love. Because right now, you all are the most important thing in my life. And I don't want anything to get in the way of that, not a buzz in my pocket. And you can do this for yourself, too. You can set up your notification settings on a phone or a device and make sure when it's at night, when you're sleeping, whatever, that it's not going to buzz, it's not going to ring, it's not going to go off, so that you can get good sleep, because that's so good for you. So turn those notifications off. Better yet, I would say get that phone out of your bedroom at night, because we all know that we make poor choices when we're alone at night with our phone. We do. Whether that's just doom scrolling and you like buy something random off the TikTok shop, or if that's just like, man, yep, I'm searching for that thing in the middle of the night and I'm watching that content. I'm playing that game that my parents don't know about in the middle of the night, right? I think we're just better people when we value our sleep and our rest. I mean, God made that pretty clear, right? He made the whole earth, everything, heavens and earth, all people, creation, everything, right? 6 days, and the seventh day he rested. It's so important that we get that rest each night. We need it. School hack for you: get good sleep, get good grades. Try it out, okay? Telling you. Breathe. This is a God-given stress reliever. So really quick, everyone take a deep breath in with me. And breathe out. Breath in. And breath out. You don't have to take like the deepest breath of your entire life. You can do kind of a calm. Okay, so everyone figure out your breathing. Just take a simple breath in. And breath out. All right, now try to be as quiet as you possibly can. Okay, so breath in. Breath out. Now try closing your eyes. It's going to be super weird. Close your eyes. Try to be as quiet as you can. Okay, so breath in. And simple breath out. Let's try one more time. Okay, breath in. And breath out. Man, doesn't that feel nice? You can do that anytime, anywhere. God has built in this reliever at any moment. If that felt really silly and like stupid for you, that's probably just like a frustrating experience. There's other sort of grounding techniques. Talk to like a student counselor or something about that. And that can be kind of interesting for different areas. But that's something you can do if in the middle of when you feel like you have a decision, you're like, I'm about to kind of make that mistake that I've done before. I don't know what to do. Just stop. Do a little breathing. And maybe clear your head and see if you have all of a sudden that decision might be a lot more clear. Tell someone, like we've talked about before, don't do this life alone. Talk to the people in your life. Again, I just mentioned counseling. If there's any sort of student service counseling from either from the church or the school or the parish, whatever that looks like for you, if you can kind of do that, if you can go through a session and just talk to someone, just try it out once. There's something beautiful about someone that's just there to listen and talk and help you work through these problems in a way that's like, just feels different than talking to other people sometimes. So if that's something you need, please look into that, especially if it kind of feels like maybe sharing these things with your family, you're not sure about how the response would be. This can be something you go to them first to figure out how you can then go to your parents or whatever, right? Just try it once. Counseling is not, if someone says, whoa, you're in counseling, what's wrong with you? Dude, they're not your friend, okay? They're not your friend. I've gone to plenty of counseling for anxiety and other stuff that's gone on in my life, and it's been wonderful. It's great. And you always walk out there feeling good once you match up with a good counselor. So maybe that's something you could look into. Tell someone, talk to other people, don't do it alone. Take a walk, right? Again, it's better for your brain to be bored. I know we don't like to be bored. It's better for your brain to be bored walking around and like kick a stone on the dirt grass or whatever, the dirt road. That's better for your brain than like 1 hour of just staring at a screen. So just try it. Get outside. Be a little bored. Take a walk. It's really good for you. Hug someone. If you have consent from someone next to you to embrace them in a physical hug right now, please do so for at least 6 seconds, okay? It's so good for you to kind of feel that. I'll give you some time here. We got some huggers. That goes for you online as well. Feel free. Hug someone right now. 6 seconds. Twelve, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know, I hate to break up the hugging. It's so good, right? God has designed us. Right? You can feel the love in the room, right? It's so good. God has designed us that way. One of the saddest things for me, I'm a big hugger. One of the saddest things for me was that, like, during COVID, you like couldn't hug like my grandma and grandpa. I was like, dude, I'm so sad right now. That stinks. So I love being able to hug, and that's so good. Hug someone, it releases. Again, if you didn't have someone you could hug right now, I hope you can hug someone later. Maybe it's your mom or your dad. They might cry. It might be super weird for you, but it could mean a lot for them, all right? So hugging people, it's a really great thing when it's allowed and they're okay with it, all right? Yep. Take a break from the screen, okay? Where are my gamers at? Go touch grass. All right. Hey, I told you, man. I told you I was a gamer since I was like 10, bro. I've been there. Yeah. I know it. You guys are funny. All right. No, seriously though. I know, I just insulted everybody. It's fine. It's actually sort of a backhanded compliment, right? Kind of is. But again, get help. Take a stance for your own well-being. Don't do this life alone. You don't have to. Why would you choose for it to be harder, just to make it harder on yourself, right? Again, it's difficult to open up and talk to people. I'm not going to lie. That is difficult. But you can do it. And once you do and you start having those conversations, your life immediately gets easier, I promise you. So have that bold conversation. Get help. Take a stance for your well-being. You're not being selfish. You're being smart, okay? And who am I? Remember, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and I'm the one for whom Christ died. So let's do this all together, okay? I am created. I am unique. I am valuable. And you are too. All right, awesome.
You matter. You're not just another face in the crowd. Your dreams, your talents, and your passions all
Sorry,
find
video's a
their
little quiet.
roots in who you have been made to be. You are valuable. This is also true for those sitting next to you. Look at them and think, you matter. Your thoughts, words, and actions not only influence your view of yourself, but also of others. Your words, whether spoken or typed, carry tremendous weight. They can uplift, inspire, and encourage others, or they can wound, tear down, and destroy. It is within your power to choose kindness, to be the voice of compassion, and to promote what is good in the world. Remember to nurture your relationships, to engage in meaningful conversations, and to connect with nature. Remember the richness of human connection, the warmth of a smile, and the embrace of loved ones. Remember to guard your heart and mind from the pressure to use your influence to elevate yourself at the cost of others. Why? Because you matter. Because they matter. In this fast-paced world, it is easy to become overwhelmed, to feel insignificant, or to lose sight of your own identity and value. Take a moment to breathe, to reflect, and to appreciate the unique qualities that make you who you are. Embrace your strengths and your passions. Surround yourself with people that uplift and inspire you. You matter. Your actions, your choices, and your voice have the power to create positive change, not just for yourself, but for generations to come. Let's stand together, united in the understanding that our identity is secure and our value is immeasurable. Let's stand together, empowered to protect one another as we face difficult circumstances. Let's stand together, proclaiming in one voice, you matter.
All right, everybody, so that's what I'll leave you with today is just remember that you matter. You matter. You're worth it, all right? So again, thank you, thank you. It was my pleasure to be here. Stay where you're seated. Again, remember, my name is Isaac from the Better Tech Project. I hope you all have an amazing, wonderful week. Stay where you are. You'll get dismissed in just a minute here, okay? Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.